Hey everybody, welcome to Nerd Overload, the pop and geek culture show where it's a bird, it's a plane, it's two guys with microphones and opinions. I'm Cody.
And I'm Sam, and this week we have a bunch of things to talk about. It's going to be a pretty game-heavy episode. The TGAs, the Game Awards. Jeff Keighley's Wild Ride happened last week, and we're going to be talking about all of that phony baloney awards ceremony.
That happy horse doo-doo.
Yes, as well as the teaser trailer for Superman and a bunch of other stuff. But first, let's talk about some things we have been checking out.
Check it out!
Josh is out this week. He lost a beard fight against Yukon Cornelius.
He did, yeah. He's going to have to recoup for a week or two and come back strong. Maybe next year he'll beat that mountain man. So anyway, things we've been doing. Every year around this time, Hallmark, the card company and television station,
and makes
channel,
those little ornaments that seem like they're aiming them right at me every
Same
year.
here. I have to prevent myself from getting all of them.
Because they're very expensive.
Incredibly expensive. But they also make Christmas movies. And guest of the show, Jordan Taylor, and I sit down and we try to watch a handful of them every year. And so I'm a little behind this year. I've only watched, I can really only review 3. Well, technically 4, but I only got like 10 minutes into the 4th one.
They're all the same.
No, actually this year there's a legitimately good one.
Huh.
If there's any Christmas Hallmark movie you need to look up this year, The Christmas Quest. It is national treasure with just a little bit of romantic Christmas comedy tied in. Everything takes place in Iceland, and it all has to do with the treasure of the Yule lads.
The Yule lads?
12 little trolls that are not elves. They keep saying not elves. But they are 12 trolls that play pranks on kids for 12 days of Christmas, basically. And there is a magic like spot, it's like a bunch of clues leading one to the other based on each Yule lad to find their treasure. And Lacey Chabert and some bland guy with a lantern-like jaw, like most of those shows, are the two.
Sometimes beard, sometimes not.
Sometimes beard. This one was like stubble. This one was stubble. So, but they were ex-husband and wife. Which is not how these things usually start.
No, not usually.
They're a little antagonistic through most of it because they are kind of... She is like... Lacey Chabert is like the hardcore, like, my mom was an archaeologist looking for the Yule lad's treasure, and now that she's gone, I am taking up the reins or whatever.
Like Lara Croft and her dad.
Yeah, very much so, actually. And the guy whose name escapes me, it doesn't matter. It was her ex-husband.
Chuck Chinlord.
Chuck Chinlord, yes, there we go. I like it. Chuck Chinlord was he was a former professor of Nordic mythology or whatever, but they divorced because she cared too much about the hunt. About the lads. She loved those lads so much.
Loved the lads too much.
Yeah, you gotta love those Yule lads. But and they go on this quest, and it's not filmed like a standard a Hallmark movie. It almost looks like a real movie. It's not quite looks like a real movie, but
it's like Indiana Jones mixed with Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Kinda. You know what? That's a really good way of putting it. I mean, it is a really great travelogue for Reykjavik, the capital. Yeah. Of Iceland, because most of it takes place there, which is also interesting because most of these Hallmark movies are shot in Ontario in like their one Christmas town set that they have. But yeah, it was actually really solid, and I would watch it again, and perhaps not even as a Christmas movie. It was just a solid treasure hunting movie with a little bit of Christmas romantic comedy sprinkled on top.
Hopefully they make the Christmas Quest 2 the search for Santa's gold.
I like it. I hope so. No, that would be great. It also gets a bonus because they have flashback scenes of Lacey Chabert's mom, who is played by Erin Cahill, former Pink Time Ranger, who has renewed her career being almost exclusively in Christmas romantic comedy films. Next up was, I'm just going to run through these real quick.
Fine.
Next up, Sugarplummed. Sugarplummed.
That's an awful name.
It's actually great though, because Sugarplummed is equal parts elf and enchanted.
Okay.
It's a family of 4, and all the kids seem too busy for Christmas, and the mom, she's also a high power lady businesswoman who is also too busy for Christmas, but loves the Christmas Hallmark movies and wants to have the magic. It's incredibly meta because she is cleaning up her office and finds an old ornament or something, and it says
it's the big nut from
yeah like it might as the prince Christmas Prince, it's full of secrets. No, it might as well be, but it said make a wish and your wish will come true, and she says, I wish I had a Christmas like the holiday movies.
I wish I was home alone at Christmas.
Yeah, right. Well, she specifically wishes that she had a Christmas like the Sugarplum movies, because in this universe, the Hallmark movies, it's like a 10-part movie series about a character named Sugarplum, who then comes to life and starts treating the world as though it were a Christmas Hallmark movie, and making reference to the rules that are in place for Christmas Hallmark movies. Like, if you sit on a bench looking sad long enough, a burly man in a red plaid shirt will just walk by and solve your problems. Like, they get incredibly meta with it. She actually pulls out a book and goes through, the rules of Christmas movies and stuff like that.
That's pretty good.
It's also really great.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And the actress that plays Sugarplum plays it like Amy Adams in Enchanted, and with the wide-eyed, Buddy the Elf. I've never been to the real world before. We're going to have so much fun decorating trees and doing this. And yeah, and everyone around her is going, what is this? What is this?
Why are you like this?
Why are you like this? But through happenstance, everything that she sets out and does because of the Christmas movie rules happen, but not exactly in a Christmas movie way, but the outcome is the same, so it actually works. It's really interesting.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was a fun one. The last one, well, I'm going to talk about this one quick. I tried watching Santa with Muscles again. I got 10 minutes into it, and let's just say the Iron Sheik had it right. If you want to look up that quote, you can, but the Iron Sheik had it right about Hulk Hogan. The last one, unfortunately, was not a very good Christmas movie. It was called Candy Coated Christmas. This was from a couple years ago. And this one is a more standard big city lady comes to small town. In this case, it's because her father owns a corporation that is slowly going under. And they've had this peppermint farm on their books for years. They've been funding it, and they need to sell the property to get money to help the big business.
Not the peppermint farm, the peppermint mine.
The peppermint mine. It might as well be. I mean, they go to the town Peppermint Hollow, where they have the peppermint farm, and everything in the town is peppermint themed.
It grows out of the ground like peppermint sticks coming up out of the ground.
I wish that would have been great. That would have been great. But yeah, don't play a drinking game with the word peppermint with that movie, because you will die. It's literally every 2 minutes someone is saying the word peppermint. The other notable thing, I mean, all the actors and actresses, they're not really. There's not one big standout famous person, and the actors don't have any chemistry with each other. It's very
gross.
It's very The main male lead looks like he's been slapped in the face with a book 2 seconds before filming every scene. Their one celebrity, in quotes, get, and I only know this because whenever I'm in a hotel, it's the only time I watch the Food Network. It's almost become a tradition. You sit there and you watch the Food Network when I
always end up watching a ghost show.
Oh, so there you go. Yeah.
Ghost Hunter garbage.
Yeah. The Food Network, it always seems like in the evening, it's diners, drive-ins, and dives. Catch up with my man Guy Fieri in Flavortown. And in the mornings, like when you're getting cleaned up and stuff, it always seems to be the show Pioneer Woman, who is this truly awful redheaded woman named Ree Drummond. And her whole gimmick is, I live on a farm. I live on a cow farm with my husband who kind of sucks and my children who I forced to be my sound crew. And I'm going to do this country show about cooking. Well, Ree Drummond plays the bakery and coffee shop owner. And she is not an actress. And she scream yells her lines at the other actors because I think whoever was her acting coach just told her, if you don't know how to say it, just be loud. Just project. And she was talking about how the peppermint brownies are her favorite. And, of course, all of the peppermint-themed food featured in the film are recipes from her cookbooks.
Oh, of course.
So, yes.
Every time I've seen a picture of her, it's just like, it looks like she's probably canceled. She just has that energy.
She has a weird... I wouldn't go that far for me because I've watched a handful of the episodes, but she does have a weird vibe. She does have a weird vibe, and she definitely seems like she is putting on airs when she is doing her show, which is, that's the way it goes. We put on a persona when we do our shows.
Or like she secretly funds the FLDS or something. Right. I don't know.
Yeah. But every now and again, a little bit of like her real personality kind of sneaks in. And she seems very, let's say, type A, I guess. Because during COVID, she had her children be her camera and sound crew to make her show. And every now and again, drop the facade and be like, okay, now make sure you get a picture of this. So
Dennis, point the camera over here.
Yeah, kinda. And she kind of every once in a while talks a little disparaging about her cow farmer husband. They live in a palatial estate funded by cows, but whatever. But no, that was Christmas. Oh, I guess I also tried Killer Raccoons 2 Dark Christmas in the Dark.
There's a lot of dark in that title.
Well, you know what? Bad movies are the best when they don't know that they're bad. And bad movies are the worst when they are like, look how goofy we're being. Isn't this silly? The Sharknado syndrome.
Yeah.
I would say that this is the Sharknado syndrome, but it doesn't...
with that kind of title.
But it doesn't have the benefit of having former celebrity actors and cameo appearances. There were only 2 raccoons, and they were puppets, and they had machine guns with Christmas hats. They're from space. It was bad.
Were they like hobgoblins bad puppets or...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They were hand puppets, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you never saw the bottom half of them in their shot because they're always like behind a trash can and you just kind of... Yeah, they were hand puppets. But,
It's a shame they flubbed a premise that good. I love raccoons.
Yeah, a killer raccoon, like they didn't really get into it much in the movie, but like the synopsis said that they are a genetically altered U.S. government trained secret operative raccoons that have gone rogue. Like they were creating super smart raccoons to get in behind enemy lines.
Then steal their trash?
I guess, but no, it was just dog water. It was awful. But yeah, that's what I've been doing this week. Getting in the holiday spirit.
I haven't watched hardly anything Christmas related, and I probably should. It's getting close.
It is getting close. I mean, by the time this airs, we're a couple days away.
I mean, I haven't even watched Muppet Christmas Carol yet.
Oh, man,
that's my favorite one.
That's a yearly tradition. Absolutely. I do that one. I do Santa Claus Conquers the Martians because I legitimately...
A classic.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bad movie, but it's a legitimate... I like it. I can see...
It's fun.
It's fun, and I can see the germ of a really good idea. Like, Hollywood keeps remaking, like, movies. They remake good movies. Remake something like Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
Yeah.
I bet you there's a real movie somewhere in that film.
I've been playing a lot of the new Indiana Jones game that just came out.
Oh, yeah.
It is very, very good and very, very true to Indiana Jones.
Excellent. Yeah, I showed my dad the trailer of the new game. It's the Golden Indiana Jones and the Golden Circle or something.
The Great Circle.
The Great Circle. I showed my dad the trailer of it and said, "Listen to Harrison Ford's voice. Can you believe that's not him? That's a voice actor?" He was blown away, and so was I because Troy Baker sounds exactly like young Indiana Jones.
Yeah, oh yeah, his performance is great.
It's spot on.
And the writing just nails it. It nails the feel of Indiana Jones. The dialogue is Indiana Jones dialogue. We have scenes with fist fights and an ancient relic being passed back and forth between people.
Perfect.
Like you would expect in an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
The side characters are all really well done. The female lead, Gina, is really fun and feisty like a Indiana Jones female lead should be.
Good.
And it's just a fun open world, like a lot of stealth, mostly stealth, and then the fighting is mostly fist fights, which
okay.
That's Indiana Jones.
That's Indiana Jones, yeah.
The AI on the enemies is kind of dumb, but it works in a movie kind of way.
Well, because they were supposed to be kind of like movie serials where the bad guys were kind of dumb.
It runs on the movie logic that makes those movies so good, and it transfers over to the game to make it more fun.
Excellent. All right. Yeah, I've been looking at that one. I haven't bought a modern game in a minute, but that one is looking
it's
pretty solid.
Really good.
Yeah.
Like it's fun to go. Like I'd been playing a lot of Ghosts of Tsushima beforehand, where you're like a super competent samurai that can like jump around everywhere and stealth murder everybody. And that compared to being mid-30s Indiana Jones, he's not a super samurai. He's not an Assassin's Creed guy.
Well, that's the charm of Indiana Jones is that, yeah, he's pretty good at what he does, but he is human.
Yeah. And
he's not perfect.
And it comes through in the gameplay. It's wild. You don't feel like some sort of uber confident murder machine. You just feel like you're scraping by and managing to just one up all these fascists and Nazis going around.
That sounds exactly like Indiana Jones, and yeah, you might have just sold me on it completely. That is cool.
I haven't finished it yet, so I don't know like the full arc or how it ends, but like story wise so far, it's like the best Indiana Jones story since like I don't know the third one.
Yeah. I mean, there are things about 4 and 5 that are okay.
Yeah, I thought the Dial of Destiny overall was like pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I liked it better than the Alien one.
The Alien one was rough.
Yeah.
I will say that one was rough. They made some mistakes. I think the most recent one it was fine. It was a good older Indiana Jones.
It was a solid B+,
yeah,
I think.
So it had a different energy, but it was still good.
Yeah. I was going to say something about, I can't remember the name of the Alien one.
The Crystal Skull.
Crystal Skull, yeah.
Crystal Skull vodka.
That was one of those movies where when you're watching it, you're kind of having a good time. And then after you get out of the theater and you're thinking about it, you're like, wait a minute.
You think about
that was garbage.
You think about it for 2 seconds and that's it. Yeah. All right. Well, have you done anything else this week?
Probably.
Good answer.
Yeah. I've played a little bit of Marvel Rivals. Not a ton. I think when I checked my time last, I'd spent like 45 minutes playing it.
Hey,
so I've done like 4 or 5 matches.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun. I've mostly just played Squirrel Girl.
Okay, I was going to ask you who your main was.
I mean, I didn't go out with Squirrel Girl first, like you would think. But I tried, after trying out all the characters, I thought, well, Bucky seems like a good one. I'll go with him. Didn't work. I'm like, all right, Squirrel Girl. Oh, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one.
Yeah. Out of all the characters, if I were to jump into it, I would probably play as Jeff the Shark.
Everybody loves Jeff the Shark.
Well, yeah, of course, he's Jeff the Shark. But yeah, I haven't jumped into it yet. Those games do tend to make me a little seasick, a little nauseous, just because it's third person and you're whipping around so fast.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Splatoon. Sometimes I can't sit and play those games for very long because I'm old. But no, it looks fantastic. And there was one character I had to actually look up because I didn't recognize them on the cast. Luna Snow.
Oh, the ice pop idol.
Yeah, apparently she was originally created for a mobile game.
Huh.
who was then background put into the comics in a cup. She's only been in like 2 issues of actual comics, but her whole gimmick is she is a K-pop star / ice healer.
I just assumed she was some X-Men character I'd never seen.
Nope. She was trapped, according to Wikipedia, she was trapped in a cold fusion reactor, and somehow that gave her superpowers.
Okay.
But it was because she was kidnapped while on stage at her K-pop concert that she was performing in.
I'm surprised Magic is in there, because Magic is a Neil Gaiman character, isn't she?
Not initially, no. She was a Chris Claremont character way before. Like, Chris Claremont came up with, first introduced Colossus having a sister, and then did the whole thing with her having teleporting powers.
Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else then.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But no, that was Chris Claremont in the 80s. That was his whole jam. But no, some of the character picks for that game are interesting.
There's so many of them too.
Yeah. I watched a thing where they were kind of rating the costumes, and it was Maximilian from the fighting game.
Yeah.
So, and he plays a lot of Marvel vs. Capcom, and I trust his opinion on stuff. But he went through them. I like almost all of the costumes. They all seem just a hair bit too busy, but it's that art style.
Yeah,
it's that Overwatch.
Kind of just what they're going for. Very loud.
I hate the Magneto costume. That stupid like metal halo thing on his back. Can't stand it.
There's a more normal one in there.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Okay, good, because it sucks on ice.
Yeah.
It is bad. It's bad.
They have, for Wolverine, they have his suit from Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, really?
And he has a special victory video that's him going through a bus.
Oh, nice.
That part in Deadpool.
Nice.
And Wolverine.
Nice. I know his regular one looks more like the X-Men Evolution.
Yeah.
With the combed hair instead of the spiky hair. That's cool. It looks different.
I think it looks good.
He's still very recognizable as Wolverine.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I also think it's funny, speaking of the amount of characters in the game, Marvel Rivals launched with more characters than Overwatch ended with.
Ended. Well, the original.
The original.
I always forget that Overwatch that we have now is technically Overwatch 2.
Technically. Well, not for long, because no one's playing it.
Yeah, when Marvel Rivals came out, Overwatch's numbers went lower than they ever had, ever.
I believe it.
Why would you play Overwatch when you can play this newer game that is actually, different and not terribly different.
Not terribly different, but why play a game where you can't play as Iron Man when I can play the exact same game where you can play as Iron Man?
And there's no cowboys that had to have their name changed for awkward reasons. That make you feel weird about playing the game at all.
Yep.
It is basically Overwatch without the baggage of it being Overwatch. And that, you know what? It's
okay.
Fine. Yeah.
No, I am interested in trying it out, at least, because it's like free to start, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other reason why it's eating Overwatch's lunch.
Well, I think Overwatch is free now, too.
But to get anything you actually want, it's like money, right?
I don't know how they do it. I think maybe they lock a bunch of characters, maybe. And this doesn't lock any character. You can play as whatever you want.
That's awesome. But yeah, I am interested in at least checking it out until I, have to take some nausea medicine or whatever.
I've been burning through the Donkey Kong Land games too, because they added all 3 of those to the Switch.
Oh, yeah.
But they're just different enough to be worth playing. Mm-hmm. The first one is actually a completely unique game.
Oh, really?
The second one is pretty
close
to being a remake of the second game, and then the third one is kind of more different also.
Oh, really?
Which I figured the third one would just be
a straight port.
But it's not.
Oh, cool.
Because the third game on Super Nintendo has that non-linear map where you can move around.
Yeah.
This one doesn't have that. It has a map like the other
it actually has
games.
A good map. Okay. Yeah. I didn't like Donkey Kong Country 3 because of the non-linear map.
It just doesn't feel necessary for that guy. It's not what anybody wanted.
Yeah. And I mean, I liked Dixie Kong and was it Kiddy Kong?
Nobody likes Kiddy Kong.
Kiddy Kong
sucks.
It's okay, I guess, but if I'm playing a Donkey Kong game, I kind of want to play as Donkey Kong or at least Diddy Kong.
It's wild that there's 3 of those games and only one of them lets you actually play as Donkey Kong.
It's weird, yeah.
Like, how did that even happen?
I don't know. They should have changed the name to just Kong Country or something like that, because he's not really. I mean, he's the MacGuffin that gets captured at the beginning of 2 and 3, right?
Yeah. I don't know if he even appears in the 3rd one.
Yeah.
At all. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh well, give me Donkey Kong 64 any day.
I'm hoping they release that next because I'm kind of itching for that one.
That would be great because it'll take 1,000,000 years to complete.
Yeah. I mean, they released it on the Wii U. There's no reason why they couldn't put it on the Switch.
Yeah,
online thing.
Although I will say the my preferred way of playing that game these days, there is a ROM, an emulated thing with one change. You can swap your Kongs on the D-pad, and
anywhere.
It makes it anywhere, and it makes the game so much better.
Normally, you'd have to go back and forth between these swap barrels, which I think it's just well, I guess it wasn't a Nintendo 64 memory restriction if they modded it in.
No, yeah, they could do it. It's the same as the folks that modded the arrow buttons to be usable in Majora's Mask. They put the ocarina and the 3 transformation masks on the D-pad for some mods.
Nice.
And it, again, makes it so much easier to play because you're not having to swap back and forth through your menus constantly. It's actually pretty good. All right, well, hey, let's go ahead and jump into some news. All right, so before we get into the Game Awards, there are a couple things we should probably touch on. First up, there's a teaser trailer for James Gunn's Superman movie. What'd you think?
I thought it looked great. It looked like Superman.
It
looked
did.
Like how Superman is supposed to look. It had the vibes that Superman is supposed to be putting off.
He is actually helping people.
Yeah.
He is actually smiling. He is actually not being a brooding weirdo. His costume looks right. It looks good. Again, talking with Jordan earlier, she said that after watching the trailer, she said it's the first time she's watched a Superman movie trailer. And by the end of it gone, I kind of want to see that.
Yeah.
Because the most recent ones, Man of Steel and Batman v Superman and all that.
Dour and joyless.
They're just no fun to be had. And Superman's got to be fun.
Yeah.
I've watched that trailer a couple of times to try to pick up as many Easter eggs and things that they're referencing. Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner looks so stupid, and I love it. I love the fact that they're reintroducing the concept of the Green Lantern character, and they've picked the worst one to be its flagship. Because Guy Gardner, he's kind of the worst. He's kind of a joke because he's the angry guy that always gets beat up, basically.
And he's kind of like an egotistical jerk.
Oh, he's an egomaniac, yeah. And he has that stupid bowl cut. And they kept the stupid bowl cut.
I can't believe they did that.
I can't either. I mean, even in the comics, he has short, spiky hair, kind of like my haircut currently. But no, in the 80s, he had this dumb bowl cut. And yeah, there's Nathan Fillion making a stupid face with the bowl cut.
And we got Hawk Girl in there,
We got Hawk Girl. We get a close-up of Metamorpho, the Element Man. There's that scene with the guy with the white face and the swirls. He's a guy, Rex Mason, who is an Indiana Jones type, who got transformed into a guy who can make his body parts any element on the periodic table, but never look like a human. He's actually a pretty interesting guy. He has the personality of the Thing, essentially.
Oh.
So yeah. It's one of those like, hey, I'm just this guy from New York and I look like a freak. I'm kind of bummed about it, but hey, what are you gonna do?
I'm sorry I look like this.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. It's like, what if the Thing could turn his arm into gold or platinum or whatever? That's kind of it. Nicholas Hoult looks great as Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
That looked awesome. And Lois Lane is immediately recognizable as Lois Lane.
I can't believe they actually put the little cape on Crypto.
Crypto, man.
It's surprising that they put Crypto in the movie at all. 2, it's equally surprising that they put the little cape on him.
I love it.
Yeah.
Crypto might be the breakout character of the century. That dog is great. And he's not like just a gigantic dog, because Crypto has been depicted as different. He's been a Cocker Spaniel. He's been a lot of times he's a Golden Lab. He's been different ones. And he's like, he's not like he's a lap dog. He's a little like terrier almost in this, kinda. I'm actually not sure what the breed is, but
it's a smaller dog though.
He's a smaller dog.
And usually he's like a larger white dog.
Yeah. But it works.
Not Ace the Bat Hound Great Dane, but like like a
or Rottweiler. Sometimes he's a Rottweiler. Yeah. But no, it's great. The couple of shots that they have of Clark Kent, not Superman, but Clark Kent, he looks sufficiently awkward and kind of bumbling, which is perfect. And this is a tiny note, but I think it's one of the best things, and I think it is an encapsulation of the difference between the Zack Snyder films and the James Gunn one. There's a shot of Pa Kent, and he's not a chiseled jawed movie star. He's an old farmer from Kansas. He's kind of schlubby. He's a little bit bigger. He's bald. He just looks like a realistic guy and not Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. Also, I doubt this Pa Kent is going to willingly walk into a tornado like he did in Man of Steel.
Or tell him, maybe don't save kids on a bus.
Hey, maybe don't.
Maybe let those kids die, Superman. No.
Yeah, protect yourself instead of other people. I'm Pa Kent. Listen to what I have to say. The hell with those kids.
I saw a TikTok comment on a video talking about it that summed it up so well. It was somebody being negative about it, and they said, "What do you want him to save cats from trees?"
Yes.
And I immediately thought, yeah, that sounds great, actually. That's what Superman would do.
That is exactly what Superman would do, because he's the people's hero. I can't wait for it.
He's about believing in the good in humanity even when you don't initially see it.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. And I can't wait for this film. Is it July 2025?
I think so, yeah.
So 6 months. 6 months away. 7 months.
Yeah, it looks great.
Can't wait.
Do we want to talk about Sesame Street?
Let's talk about it quick. It's pretty important.
In slight trouble.
Yeah, it is in slight trouble. So Sesame Street, for the last handful of years, it's been exclusive. Has it been exclusive, or has it been first run?
It's first run on HBO.
On HBO and
Max, which is
I don't
kind
like
of anti to the goal of Sesame Street.
Sesame Street is supposed to be accessible to everybody.
That's why Jim Henson wanted it to be on PBS.
Yeah. Yep. But Max and Warner have decided that they are not going to renew their contract for Sesame Street.
Yeah, with Sesame Workshop.
Yeah, and they are the children's workshop.
Yeah, Children's Television Workshop.
That's it. Yeah, and
I've only heard them say the name of that company for a million times when I was a child. I should know it.
Oh, and said multiple times on Defunct Land.
Yeah.
Which we should talk about that for a second as well.
Oh, yeah.
But, so they are currently looking for someone to distribute and help pay for Sesame Street, which means it could potentially disappear. I mean, it's not going to, because it's an institution. Yeah, and someone will pick it up.
You shouldn't be worried about whether or not Sesame Street is making money. It's
all about money, yeah.
You should consider whether or not it's a public good, which it is. It's a service to teach kids, you know.
But no one cares about kids, and no one cares about public services. They want money.
Everything has to make money. It's capitalism.
And that sucks. I'm just going to say it. It's a bummer. It's a real Bummer.
Can you imagine if somebody tried to invent a library in today's climate?
Oh man, yeah, you would need a monthly subscription service.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'd be locked out after you'd have if you were one day late, you'd have to buy the 7 books basically to make it up, and it affect your credit score and all that stuff. Yeah, no, it's
sometimes things are worth having just because it's good for everyone as a whole, not because it needs to make a profit.
Yeah. But try telling that to millionaires who want to be billionaires.
Yeah, try telling that to David Zaslav.
I swear he is a modern day supervillain.
Yeah,
he really is. All right, couple of quick hits. There's a trailer for Death of a Unicorn from A24, and this looks like less of their horror A24 and more of their everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah,
kind of weird, quirky dark comedy.
Yeah, it's what was it? Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega are on their way to someplace and they accidentally hit a unicorn.
Yeah, Paul Rudd works for a pharmaceutical company. They're on their way to the owner's estate and they accidentally hit a unicorn with their car. And the pharmaceutical company folks determine that, hey, every part of this unicorn can be harvested for medications. And then the unicorn's parent comes looking for it, and it's this horrible hell beast.
It looks like a lot of fun.
It does.
Jenna Ortega playing disaffected teen.
Always.
Albeit less of one, it seems this time.
A little less of one, yeah. It has Will Poulter, who was Adam Warlock in Guardians 3, and also the doofus from We're the Millers. Is that the one where they hire the drug runner hires a family?
Yep.
Yeah, and he's back to playing like a doofus comedy role.
I liked Adam Warlock.
Yeah,
in that. I saw a lot of people complaining about that wasn't true to the character, but I don't know. I thought it was funny.
Well, the character is a block of wood in the comics. He is essentially, I am an all-powerful, all-knowing god being with zero personality. At least in Guardians 3, they made him. I have zero personality because I'm essentially a giant baby.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And that's good. But yeah, Death of a Unicorn looks good. I think it comes out late next year, I believe. I didn't get the exact date.
No,
I don't think it had the exact date on it. It's just the first trailer. You know what? Let's talk about some video games. Let's talk about the Video Game Awards.
The Video Game Awards for Best Video Game Award Show. This would not win.
This would not win. No. We'd be nominated.
It'd be nominated. This year it would at least be nominated.
At least. So, as with every year, Jeff Keighley, a noted Canadian video game journalist, and...
Did he mention he's Canadian?
He did mention he's Canadian at least once. He always does. He put on this is the 10th annual. I hadn't realized they have been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
Because it started as the Spike Video Game Awards, right?
Yeah, and then nobody wanted to run it on TV anymore, so he did it himself on Twitch.
Yeah, and now he's got a production company that makes it look almost kind of sort of like the Emmys, but it's not.
No.
As much as he would love for it to be the Emmys, it's never going to be the Emmys. It's video games. Video games are art, don't get me wrong. But...
Well, if it was like... if the Emmys had commercials for other TV shows and movies during the Emmys, then it would be.
Yeah, it's a collection of new release titles and upcoming things with a couple of fake awards given in the middle.
It'll never look like a legitimate award show if he continues to use it as an advertising platform for other companies.
Exactly. Plus, it's an excuse for Jeff Keighley to meet celebrities. Every year, they always get some kind of celebrity on there. Last year, it was Al Pacino. Remember when Al Pacino trundled out and slurred through his speech about video games? He wasn't even in one of the video games. He was just there.
I doubt he's ever even played a video game.
Oh, I doubt it. I
don't think Harrison Ford has either.
Harrison Ford was this year.
That man is not a man who would ever...
Not even once.
Game. Not even once.
Well, you could tell that he needed a little bit of the liquid courage to get through his 2 minutes on stage. He's getting older. That man was drunk. right? He was.
Or other substances.
Well,
he's known to enjoy the marijuana.
Yeah, and that's good on him.
And that's legal now.
Hey man,
so.
a grown man with the one earring, sure, why not? Yeah. But yeah. So Harrison Ford came out and presented what was it? Best voice actor.
It was best performance. And Troy Baker, who is the voice of Indiana Jones in the game, was there too.
There.
They did like a handshake, and it was
awkward and weird, but kind of funny.
But also cute.
It was kind of nice. It was kind of nice. What are some of the game highlights? We're not going to go through every single one because there were a million, and I can barely remember some of them.
Yeah, I'm having trouble remembering. I know The Witcher 4 was that's probably the biggest one.
The Witcher 4 and the Elden Ring, the spin-off game, I would say are the two biggest ones. But Witcher 4, it's not Geralt as the lead this time. It's Ciri, who was the main side character.
Like quasi-daughter, not really.
Quasi-daughter, semi-apprentice kind of situation. And it looks like it's a pretty significant time jump because she is about 20 years older.
She's about Geralt's age now.
Yeah.
Which this should not be surprising to anyone who played the third game.
No.
It very much seemed like this is the direction they wanted to go then.
Well, Witcher 3 had multiple endings, but this is very specifically like, okay, this one ending, this was the right one.
Yeah.
That's the canon one. But it looks great.
Well, there was even parts in The Witcher 3 where you play as her. They were clearly angling it this way. You should not be surprised.
Now, I will say this was all CG rendered. There was no gameplay.
I'm assuming they've learned their lesson from Cyberpunk and they're not going to overpromise and underdeliver this time.
Oh, I don't know. They've done that with every Witcher game as well.
It's true.
Yeah, we'll see if CD Projekt Red could break the streak of having a game drop and then have it be immediately broken in 7 different ways.
And then a year later, it's suddenly an incredible game that's great.
Yeah, it's like they release a half-done game and then fix it in real time.
Yeah.
Basically.
And you ask anybody about Cyberpunk now, and it's like, oh, that's great. It was a great game.
Well, people love The Witcher 3, and it was unplayable when it was first released. So, same with Witcher 1 and 2 and some of their other games. So the Elden Ring spin-off thing, the trailer didn't show a ton. I mean, it showed a lot of in-game stuff, but it didn't really explain what it was. As it turns out, what it is a roguelike, where you don't get to fully customize your character. You get like, this is the axe guy, and this is the magic one, and the sword one, and you're going into procedurally generated areas, not like
versions of Lingrave,
basically. But it also is tying in Dark Souls into it because the Nameless King was in that trailer, and post Game Awards, their stuff said, "Oh yeah, no, the Dark Souls universe, when everything was reset at the end of Dark Souls 3." It led to the Elden Ring timeline. It's all one thing. It's just thousands of years apart, basically.
So it's a roguelike, so it's a Souls game I'll play at 2 minutes at a time.
Yeah, basically.
No, thank you. I will be passing on this one.
Yeah. But no, okay. So Ninja Gaiden.
Classic.
What is the name of it? I wrote some of them down. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound.
Yes.
It was the first thing that was announced on the pre-show.
And this is one of those things that like is announced specifically for over 30 dudes.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a 2D action platformer that looks amazing.
Yeah, and it's got great pixel art, and I've always liked that franchise.
I have too.
Even the 3D ones that Itagaki made back in the day.
Yeah.
Those are solid games too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm in for this. This looks rad.
It looks great. It looks really, really good.
It's by the people who did Blasphemous 1 and 2, and those are solid Metroidvanias.
I've heard they're also very solid, yeah. Tekken 8 won the Fighting Game Awards.
Honestly, it did. There wasn't much competition. I was
really,
pretty sure it was going to sweep.
I mean, one of the nominees was a remaster
Oh yeah, of games from the 90s.
Of games from the 90s. So yeah, there wasn't a lot there. But also, Tekken 8 is pretty good.
That's what I've heard.
Speaking of, Clive from Final Fantasy 16 is the playable character, and they got the wrong Final Fantasy character.
Final Fantasy character. Why didn't you get the one that everybody loves who also does punches?
Yeah, so
Tifa.
So you have Tifa from Final Fantasy 7. Their remakes are out now. It would be appropriate for them to add her, and she is essentially a modern day punch woman. Or Clive, a game whose product cycle is done. There's no more DLCs, and he is a magic sword man in a game where everyone is modern day.
Yeah, who can summon like gigantic kaiju-sized monster. You're not going to do that in Tekken.
Doesn't fit.
He can't do the thing that he is known for in the game in Tekken, so why put him in there?
If they wanted to put Clive somewhere, they should have put him in Soul Calibur.
Yeah,
because that's the medieval weapon fighting game.
They would have to make a new Soul Calibur first.
Yeah, well, that's also very true. Let's see. We
should probably talk about the big Naughty Dog game reveal.
Which one was that?
The bald lady in space. What was it? Intergalactic.
Oh yeah,
the something profit.
Oh yeah, the product placement, the game.
Yeah, there was so much product placement.
It was like
in that.
every second.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be a good game. I'm glad it's just not another Last of Us game. I'm sick of that.
It's going to be Last of Us in space, though, is what it's going to be.
Probably.
Yeah.
She has like a sword, like a laser sword thing, so it's not going to be a shooty game.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it's good, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Neil Druckmann.
No, me neither.
I thought Last of Us 2... gameplay wise was pretty fun, but I thought the story was garbage, but not for the reason why most of the people do.
Yeah.
I just thought it was unfocused and was desperately trying to say something,
but didn't know what.
Didn't know what.
Yeah. Speaking of video game personalities, what was the name of the guy, the Borderlands guy? Who shuffled out?
Oh, Greasy Randy.
Greasy Randy, yeah.
Randy Pitchford.
Randy Pitchford, yeah. He took 5 seconds away from the from the medieval times to.
Hopefully, he didn't leave any USBs at the Game Awards.
Right, yeah. But no, he came out and mumbled something, and then they showed a trailer for the new Borderlands game, which is weird because there was no comedy. No. It was just a serious trailer. It was a tone trailer,
and it didn't look fresh at all.
No, it
just looked like they'd thrown a bunch of stuff from all three of the other games into a big bag and shook it up and then dumped it out in front of you.
Yeah, this is the angry one because no one went to see the Borderlands movie.
Yeah. We did a bad movie. He didn't apologize for the movie, for one, which he should have done.
He should have. Yeah.
Like, even if it was as a joke, like, he should have he should have mentioned it.
Although, from what I hear, part of that is not totally on them because the Borderlands movie, I believe, sat on a shelf for a while, and it was filmed during the shutdown. Yeah. It had problems to begin with.
It was COVID and development hell, and like it had 15 different scripts, and it was just a straight up nightmare.
It wasn't entirely their fault, but it was a good deal of their fault. Let's see. Well, I guess the big one, the Astrobot.
Yeah,
pretty much swept every...
Yeah, anything it was nominated for, more or less, it won.
And including Game of the Year.
And good on it.
Good on it.
I haven't played it. It's been a blind spot in my recent gaming escapades.
I don't have a PlayStation, so
not
I
by
won't be
choice. It looks great. I've wanted to play it. I just haven't gotten to it.
It's just a mascot platformer.
Which is exactly right up my alley.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a game type that used to be incredibly prevalent, but is just not. It's kind of gone to the wayside in exchange for games that want to be movies. And sometimes you don't want a game that wants to be a movie.
You just want to play a fun video game.
You just want to run around and jump on creatures' heads and get points. Sometimes you just want a video game. And I hope video games slowly get back to being video games.
Yeah, being allowed to be like that if they want.
Because there were so many trailers, and again, they all are kind of mushed together in my brain, but everything was like dramatic, cinematic, we're going to do this thing. What was it, like The Legends of Kazam or something like that? A guy running on a bridge that is possessed by a ghost demon whatever that was fighting guys. I could be describing 5 different things.
It could be anything.
It could be anything because they're all kind of mushed together.
It was probably made by a Chinese corporation you've never heard of.
Well, either that or Tencent. Yeah. It just games. Sometimes you just want a video game to be a video game, and I kind of hope by them winning this year that we start to see more games that are games.
Yeah, I hope Sony takes the right lesson from this, although
They're not gonna.
I don't think Astrobot sold
especially
well. Hopefully this picks up its sales a little.
I mean, I hope so, but
they decide this is a viable not franchise, but game type.
Well, here's what's probably going to happen. Instead of us getting more video games that are video games, we're going to get the Astrobot movie. They're going to take it in the exact opposite direction.
And it is definitely not a thing that could make a movie. It's
There's
bunch
not
of
enough there.
Cute robots flying around in a spaceship that looks like a PlayStation. You can't make a movie of that.
Well, you could.
Now, there's a lot of things that we've said you can't make a movie of, and then they do.
We said you couldn't make a movie out of Legos or Barbies.
And they did.
And they did, and they both were pretty good.
Some of the better movies that have been made in a long time.
Okay, let's put it this way. Sony can't make a movie
Sony can't make a movie about anything.
Did you hear about the Kraven the Hunter?
Oh, it's done.
Out. It's out and it's gone. And it had the worst opening of any of the Sony not MCU movies. It had a worse opening than Madam Web and Morbius.
Wow.
Yeah, it only made like $11 million in its first weekend, and that was like a multi-million-dollar film that they were trying to make.
Nobody cares about Kraven the Hunter.
Not without Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Without Spider-Man, Kraven the Hunter is just some guy. He's just a guy that wears a lion on his t-shirt.
He's just like one of those guys that big game hunts that nobody likes.
Yeah, exactly. So at the very beginning of the show, Ken Kitsuragi was presented.
Yeah, Mr. PlayStation.
The guy who created the PlayStation. Did you see that he tried to get up on stage?
No.
Yeah.
They didn't let him?
Mm-mm. No, he stood up when they announced him. He stood up and waved at the crowd, and you see he's starting to like move down the aisles and start to move up, and you see someone tell him to go ahead and sit down.
Not you, Mr. Invented PlayStation.
They were just saying he's here. They didn't want you to get up and give a speech.
Statler and Waldorf were great.
Oh man, they burnt Jeff Keighley so hard. It was great.
I was surprised how far they went.
I don't think they told him what they were going to say, because some of those reactions, especially the one where they said that he's a habitual sellout, that was a real reaction. I think that was awesome.
It made me wonder, like, because a lot of the things that they said were things that have directly come out of my mouth. And, like, are Statler and Waldorf that into it to know this stuff, or am I a cranky old man now?
We are the Statler and Waldorf of video game podcasts, yes. Let's see. Spooky, scary Metroidvania Pac-Man. It's called Shadow Labyrinth, and it's based off of that... the secret level episode about Pac-Man.
I don't remember this.
Oh, it's real. Well, I'll show it to you after the show.
I don't like that.
Yeah, the whole thing is about you eat the shadows. Everything you must consume. And it's that alien guy.
That sucks.
And he uses the shadows to turn into a giant shadow Pac-Man to eat things.
Because I love Pac-Man. Mm-hmm. That's one of my more favorite franchises. When that like Pac-Man arcade collection where you build your own little arcade and you play the game.
Yeah.
I plunked so much time into that when it came out.
Well, I hope you like your Pac-Man to look like Metroid, but also not good.
And be dark and gritty Pac-Man, just like everybody wanted.
Let's see. There was a Yu Suzuki mobile game scam thing. He had like something like about cats fighting robots or something.
Yeah, there was that Catly trailer.
Yeah,
did you see that?
I saw that. Yeah,
that apparently is some kind of. Well, they have said it's not, but it is. Like an AI scam.
Yeah. And the last one, I'm mentioning this only because of the joke. Only because of the joke. But every time I watch the Game Awards 3 times, 2 times with commentary from other people, because that's how you watch these things. You got to watch them with commentary.
Oh, I watched it raw.
Oh, you watched it raw. See,
I made my own commentary.
My 3rd time through was without commentary for this, but the first 2 I was like, I can't watch this thing dry. But every time they showed clips of the Lord of the Rings Tales of the Shire cozy game, it looks pretty boring, and I love cozy games.
I can't tell if it looks like something that it looks good or not.
It looks like Animal Crossing but boring, and it looks like Stardew Valley but boring. And 2, every time they said Tales of the Shire, my brain was like, oh, you mean Talia Shire, the woman who played Adrian from the Rocky movies? Every time my brain is just like, oh yeah, click, that name sounds like a name. Well, hey, we are over time, so we should probably go ahead and wrap things up for the week. You have been listening to Nerd Overload. Thank you very much for tuning in. You can find us each and every day over at nerdoverload.com, as well as all of our socials at links.nerdoverload.com.
You can send us an email, staff@nerdoverload.com. Questions, comments, tell us what your game of the year is.
Yeah,
and why it's Infinity Nikki.
It's the Stardew Valley 1.6.3 update.
I think that should have been, if they can nominate the DLC to Elden Ring, they should have been able to nominate the update to Stardew.
I agree, and it was a solid enough update.
Yeah, it was a great one. Killer.
Yeah. You can find all of our back episodes on podcast apps such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube.
YouTube? Like a question?
YouTube? Yeah. Finally, I'd like to thank Parker for helping us out at the Facebook page and David Pencil for the intro and outro. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will be back next week.
Or after Christmas. Are we doing one next week?
Yeah, we could.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see.